While we're waiting the last minute here or so for folks to come in, why don't you just drop in the chat? Let me know where you're from. Like I mentioned, I'm from Philly. I'll tell you a little more about myself in a second, but where is everybody coming from today? Nice. Ohio, Mexico. Holy smokes. Right on. Calgary, New Jersey. What's up, friends? Dynamite. Dynamite. Looks like we're getting a lot of, we're from all over the place. This is amazing. I'm really stoked to hear that. How's the weather? The weather all right? It's got real hot here in Philadelphia. Anybody else super hot right now? What's up, Philly friends? Oh man, the hurricane. That's right. Be careful out there. Be careful. Be careful out there. Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's super humid here. I'm not interested in the humidity, but all right. I think we're gonna get started here. 12:05 Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific time. I wanted to introduce myself real quick. My name's Scott. I'm a design advocate here at Abstract. I'll be running through the 101 on Abstract with everybody today. So just real quick from the beginning, if you have some questions, once people stop letting us know where they're all from, just drop them in the chat here, and I'll jump in. But the quick story on me is I'm a Philly-based designer. I'm a proud dad to 3 kids. I love to bake bread. Been skiing all my life. I'm still looking for that perfect burger. And for the last 4 years, I'd actually been a design leader at Comcast, NBC Universal, working on the entertainment products. And about this time last year, we started looking at ways that we could sort of organize our work better, get more integrated with one another, so we wouldn't have such siloed work between the different teams. And from there, we started looking at tools to sort of help that. So we've made some changes on our own side, but also started looking at tooling that might help with that. And Abstract, quickly rose to the top as a really solid option for our teams. And now, fast forward to today, the summer, actually joined Abstract earlier this summer. Here helping teams like yourself or people like yourself get to know more about Abstract. So. Yes, bread is super hard to master. And as a real small side note, today marked I had to restart my starter. If anybody knows anything about bread, my starter died on me over the summer. So I'm starting over, but new things. I'm super excited for everybody today. We're going to get through a bunch of really the foundational stuff about what Abstract's all about. And try to touch on some of the key areas that might really help you as you start jumping into how this new workflow that Abstract really supports. But it's new year, new things. My 3 kids just went off to school. You guys might be just starting new things, new school year. I shouldn't say it's a new year now that we're in September, but I'm into this kind of like refresh, get like a good grip on what we're up all against. So if you have any questions, just drop me a line. Looks like I'm having trouble getting the Q&A. So if you wouldn't mind just hitting the chat thing here, that'd be really awesome. And that way I can get those chats a little bit better than the Q&A. All right. Everybody doing all right? We're going to buckle in. We're going to go for it. All right. So I'm going to go through a few things, just talk to you, just overview what Abstract is, take a look at what we mean by organizations and the roles within your organization, and talk a bit about the core workflow and how you're going to actually embrace Abstract as we go forward and doing your design work. We'll touch on what sketch libraries are for Abstract. It's really powerful. And there's actually a lot more on our website about how sketch libraries work, and another webinar coming up pretty soon about that. But I'll hopefully give you like the foundation pieces, and then talk a bit about how we collaborate together and work with your stakeholders, work with your partners in the product team and the engineering teams, and just even between your own design teams. So, all right, let's just dive straight in. So honestly, Abstract solves this one major problem, which is it's a design workflow management system that really gives you a modern design team that one place to version, manage, and collaborate with your files. And it's really honestly kicking that one thing out, that one question out: where and what is the latest design? That sort of becomes a bit of a problem, and Abstract becomes like your centralized hub for all things design. So some of the key benefits: it becomes your single source of truth, by using abstract to establish that single source of truth, you kind of have this thing that like is precious and never can be accidentally overwritten or lost. At the same time, because it's precious, you want to be able to and can work in parallel with your other design partners. So we never affect that that single source of truth. We do a thing called branches, which we'll talk about in a quick second, where you can work concurrently on the same design without overwriting your design partner's files. And then lastly, so we're kind of going end to end, you can collaborate with your stakeholders, give them like really great visibility into your work in progress and let them really provide the valuable feedback that you need to build these products together. And what I love about this is like end to end. You start in abstract and you can even bring it all the way forward to where your stakeholders are at. And we'll get into some of that stuff here near the end. So let's just talk a bit about organizations, what we mean about organizations and roles within your organization. So every company or every group, I'll sort of say it that way, but a company in abstract, we have the place where you centrally work together, and we call that an organization. Within your organization, that top level, you'll have projects, which we'll talk about, and in those projects, we'll have files, which we'll talk about. And it's really the home for what your team is working on. Every organization sort of can be structured differently with a variety of different project styles. But honestly, using these projects, you can organize them in a way that makes sense for your product. I do want to mention we also have a feature called sections, which is a way to organize your project. That's for our enterprise plans. It's really honestly, and you can see here from our, this is Abstract's version of Abstract, or Abstract's Abstract, if that's a little too meta. But you can see our projects are organized via these sections, which really are markers that say these projects relate together. And while I'm kind of here, I just want to talk about, you may be in a couple different organizations, depending on the kind of designer you are, kind of contributor you are. So, you know, this person's in abstract, they're also in a part of a few different organizations. But every person also gets a personal organization, a place for you to sort of like do your own personal exploration. I love mentioning this early. If you haven't used abstract a ton or haven't really been exposed to sort of the workflow that we're going to talk about, using your personal projects as a way to sort of explore design ideas, explore even the way to use abstract. It's a nice, safe, isolated place. It's just for your stuff that you can do some playground stuff there. So take advantage of that if you can. Also within abstract, we have a notion of contributors and viewers. So a viewer is a free and unlimited seat. Basically, a viewer has everything, can do everything that a designer can. They just can't change the files, which is sort of the point, right? You want a viewer to be able to come in, view, comment, work collaboratively with you, and they can use both our desktop and the web application. Inspect, add their comments, all those type of things. And that's a free and unlimited seat with abstract. So that's a really solid, powerful thing. And then also a contributor, those are the folks that are going to be doing the design work. They're going to be doing the lifting of the design. They have the ability to create a branch, edit those files, make commits along the way, and really affect the change and build that rich design that you're looking for. All right, so that's a bit about organization and roles. I'm going to jump into some core workflow concepts, but are there any questions here while I try to take a drink of water and make sure that I keep my vocal cords for the rest of the hour here? I'll take that as a no. Is there a way, David asks, is there a way to let external resources work on a project as a contributor without having to access to all projects? Yep, there certainly is. You mean like an external resource, maybe like a designer from an agency or a contractor. Great, thank you for helping me out with that. For sure, we'll talk about it in a quick second, but it's about setting up private projects, and we'll talk about that real quick. I don't want to burn my way through here, but I'll answer that for sure. Actually, why don't I just get into it here? So. On Abstract, we have two main platforms. That Mac app that is really a solid piece for your designers who need to edit, access, do all the kind of work. Once you download that Mac app, you'll open up all of your sketch files, and coming soon, Adobe XD files, all of your drawing files from Abstract, and that's really where Abstract's going to start doing the listening. And the web app is just as powerful as the Mac app, but it's great for stakeholders like project managers, program managers, product managers, developers, folks who just need to leave some feedback, get into your work, and take a look at what you're doing. They don't have to download anything. They just use a modern browser and has all the abilities baked in. But practically, as we're going to walk through here, we're going to talk a bit about the Git workflow. So a Git workflow is really something we're borrowing from our development partners. It's really where you set that source of truth, which we call the master branch. You set that source of truth, make that sort of precious. In order to do any explorations or design changes, or really any changes, we make a branch of that, which is a direct copy of that master. Along the way, we'll save some stuff. We'll commit it, which is like a super save, which we'll talk about. And once we're ready, once we've gotten all the approvals, all the design reviews are finished, we'll merge that branch up into master and update that source of truth, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to maintain the source of truth in master and make that the truthiest place that you can find any design. So no more will you have to have or fishing for files that are like iOS copy final v3 and then hoping that that's actually the right one. By using this Git workflow, we really get into that. So our team and the design advocate team see that some of the strongest ways that our folks are using it, some of the healthiest ways that folks are using it right now are using projects, are really organizing it around your team's work. Projects, we like to say that they're sort of like focused on the specific product or platform. It's like reflecting what your product is actually all about in a project. So some teams, as you'll see here, organize their projects by platform. So in this company, this faith company, Propeller, they organize their projects by the delivery platform, iOS, Android, Mac, Apple TV, whatever. And within it, all of their files of that product design relate to the platform. Other teams sort of structured by feature, their projects by feature. A feature for, again, this fake company, Propeller, might be like on a camera app. So it have like a gallery tool or a capture feature, or an edit, function. From there, all of the files that are related to gallery would be in that project. And you might think of it as the inverse of the last thing I just talked about. So you probably have designs for your gallery that have iOS, Android, all the others baked into those files within that project. And we see, to answer David's question before, we see some other customers organizing their project by client. So in this example, you might consider Propeller as like an agency model where they have Spotify, Instacart, and Shopify on the books. Each of those projects have files within them that don't really relate to one another. There's no real relationship between Spotify and Instacart. They're totally separate. So we separate them by project. And this is a good place to mention that we have the ability to set a project as private. When you set a project as private, you can limit the membership of that project to just the people that you want to be in there. That includes a contributor and a viewer. So a contributor, again, is maybe your contractor that's doing the design, but also might be like a small set of your product ownership that's really jiving in that space there. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah, so within each project is a master. It's your single source of truth. It's a grouping of all the files that really compose that project. Again, I like to say it's like this, it's the highest level. It's often what we see teams often saying, my project, my master on my project is what's been approved by design. It's what's sort of like been codified by design and really is your reference point for your stakeholders and beyond. So when you're starting out, I want to say this early too, it's sort of your opportunity to have like, you watch that Netflix show, oh gosh, I forget the name of the Netflix show, but it has Marie Kondo in it. Maybe that's what it's called, Marie Kondo. This is your chance to sort of have your like Marie Kondo moment and only bring the files over that spark joy, that only bring the work that your team is really going to work on in this particular project. So bring over on an as needed basis. So like I mentioned, instead of working on master, just instead of directly working on those files, you'll make what we call branches, which are a copy, a version of your master documents. And it's really a safe place for you to do the exploration and the design without doing any of those changes on master. So what this allows you to do is allows multiple designers to work in parallel with one another. I can have a branch, David can have a branch, Alden can have a branch, all within the same project. And we all might be tasked with different work on that same particular project. And so, you know, it's great. We're never needing to worry that I'm overwriting anybody's work because I'm working in my own safe space. This is a nice point to make mention. When you are branching, be sure it's about specific intent. So you can see in this particular dialogue, we have a checkout, but we don't have like gift cards like represented right now in that checkout. So the task for this particular sprint or timeline or whatever you're working off of is to add some gift card designs in checkout. You don't need to name your branches like we used to do with files. You like add your name to a file. Your like avatar is actually connected with every one of the branches within that project. So you don't need to put your name on it. You're already associated with it. But we do say like bring that specific intent. We love seeing when teams are using things like Jira. Jira is a great way to like manage work. Put a Jira number in the branch name. Perhaps the changes that you're going to go through are attached to a Jira ticket. So yeah, do that with some specific intent. And as you get started, you'll start building sort of this rich narrative of what your design changes are going to actually be using the branch names. And I can show you in a minute here how we might use branch names to sort of help us connect the dots to see what other work has been done, or what work is being done around your organization. But I think I mentioned this before, and if I didn't, I'll mention it now. Whenever you're opening up a Sketch document or an Adobe XD document coming soon, you'll open it up through a branch in Abstract. And that way there's like a little plugin. They'll start listening to your work that you're doing in Sketch and your drawing tools. And that's sort of the workflow. Start in Abstract. You don't need to go fish for it. Don't try to find it in Finder. Don't open up recent in Sketch. Work through Abstract. All right, so as you're doing a bunch of work, you're making saves along the way, you're saving your changes, things are getting great. We have a notion called a commit, which is sort of like a timestamp as you're making those saves along the way. And a commit really just offers you a way to roll back changes if you need to, and then actually build like a rich history of work. Our real big tip here is like commit often, do it frequently, provide some context, like write a note about what you did. It's not just for yourself, but it could be for your team. So in this case here, added confirmation message. And a little more on the summary here is, this is triggered when, whatever happens in your design. So commit often, commit early. Don't worry about commits. It's not a big deal. You can always roll them back. Abstract is super flexible, but really what it does is it sort of builds this rich history around the design. It provides context for your thinking in the future. All right, I'm going to jump out of this presentation real quick. Oh, there's the QA thing. I was like wondering where that thing went. All right, yes, some of the questions here were like, yeah, will this session be recorded? Yes, it's going to be recorded. And cool, I can use the QA thing if everyone's jamming with that. But let me show you a little bit about what we were just talking about. I'm going to jump to our project called Mac OS app, which is Abstract's project for defining what you're looking at right now, which is the Mac OS app. I'm going to click on Master, and I'll click on Files. And I'll show you just real quick here that this is the summary or the grouping of the like I mentioned at the beginning, your master branch, which is a collection of the files, the design files that make up your product. We've taken the approach at Abstract to define our projects by platform, and within it you'll see, again, Mac OS app is the platform we're using on the Mac OS. And then we've used the file structure here really to break out the different areas of our app. So account setup, project, collections. When I click on any one of these files, I'm able to preview without Sketch all of the artboards that are on that file. I'm going to jump over to commits for master here. So you can see that over the time, this master has had a lot of commits. I can actually scroll back. How far can I go? I think I can go like 3 years here, all the way back to where someone had committed into master a few designs. And personally, having been in the industry for a long time, I don't have a tool. I haven't seen a tool that really makes that connective tissue work between really all of your design and the time that you've done it. I can even preview what the designs were from 3 years ago, which is kind of a wild experience when you really think about it. All right, the other thing, while I have all these commits here, I want to point out that you can restore any one of these commits to master. So I could potentially do the one from 3 years ago and restore that to the top of this list. I probably don't want to because a lot has changed in 3 years. But where you see this happening quite frequently is if Payam, in this instance, committed a few things 17 hours ago, but and then another one came in a few hours ago, maybe we need to roll back because those changes weren't really what we were trying to go after. I can just grab that last commit and restore that commit, and it would pull it back to the top. So that really kind of brings up one of the key pieces that I do want to make mention of, which is that on your master, you have the ability to merge your branches from those changes from your branches into master. And when you do that, that's really when you're like approved. Everything's like singing. You're like a rock star designer, and it's time to merge those changes because you've done work. You've effected change to your designs, and now you need to update the source of truth. So merge that into master. You'll get a big blue button on your branch that says merge into master. Now, sometimes, like we said before, you have the ability to do parallel work. So sometimes you may have two designers working, and David is able to update master before I get to. Now the source of truth has changed a bit because David has, again, updated it from his branch. It's now my turn actually to get those changes from master. So my branch won't say merge into master. It'll say update from master. This is pretty powerful because I'm able to then to see, using abstract, any of the changes that are in conflict from what I worked on. So in this instance, maybe David and I were working on the same card, and he did it in a manner where it's like yellow and purple, and I did it in a manner, in green and red or whatever your change might be. We at Abstract are listening or watching for the diffs between each artboard. That way, when you have that sort of like conflict, you can it honestly brings up like a conversation. There's no overwriting anyone's work to sort of like to allay those fear. You're always presented with the option to see whether or not you want to pick your artboard or the master's artboard. And it's just honestly maybe a good time to talk with your design team. So yeah, so conflict resolution, it's super powerful within Abstract, allows you really to make sure that things are aligned up. All right, so I got through the core workflow. There's a couple questions, and the one question I do want to address here from Florian is like, what should we use now, Q&A or chat? Honestly, I'm looking at both of them. So let's just say you can use whatever you're comfortable with. Let's see here. Can you talk a little bit about your commit strategy? It's the main area that I struggle with. For sure. So commits, let me just jump out of here. If you, let me pull up a project that has a bunch of commits. So Sarah has been working on a particular branch called Review Request Notes, and in it you'll see like there's a lot of commits here, a lot of different kinds of commits. In fact, last month, this one I wanted to point out, some commits might just be like a stashing commit, very similar to Git. Like a stash might be like, I have a bunch of ideas, I'm going to lunch, I need to like stash these things. You might put stash in there as the name. Also, another great one is called cleanup. 8 days ago, Sarah did a cleanup commit, which might have meant while she was in her, while she was doing some work on this branch, need to get rid of stuff that are ideas that we're not going to really use, or just like explorations that are, you know, out of bounds after having a few reviews. Time to clean up. We'll make a cleanup stash. And then others are very intentional. So like in this instance, updated reviewers list, updated actions in sidebar. And if I click along them, I'm able to see the changes. So you're able to see the edited items, if there are any new artboards between the last commit and this commit. And further, I can talk about this. I'll talk about this in a sec when we're looking at the inspect tools, or the collaboration tools, I should say. But yeah, yeah, for sure. Yo, Gabba Gabba, good work, right? Always put a good emoji too. Like, don't forget you can use emojis. And what's wild too, not to like get too deep into Sarah's work here, is that she made this cleanup commit 8 days ago, but a day later, like I was mentioning, she actually restored that commit and used that to sort of like, be the place or foundation for where she was going to do some work for the next couple days. So commits are a nice way to, and it's sort of like as a mind bend too. We're saving all of your changes as a timestamp along the way. You can always revisit them, and you can always, restore them. So there is a bit of a strategy there. Yeah, XD is officially announced, so that's pretty cool. You can also get involved with that too. Like, there is some beta testing if your team is like deep in XD land. We'd love to get your feedback on stuff. And the end question there from Jenny: does everything from her previous commit go away? No, it doesn't go away. It's just, if you think about it more of as a time. So everything from the small nudge. Here's the last one, small nudge, and the second last one, and then the last one was one field to rule them all. It doesn't go away. All that work is still preserved within every part of that commit, as well as any comments connected to it, and you can always revisit that. All right, I'm actually going to jump back. We'll get some more questions at the end too. I want to make sure that we cover all the pieces that we are talking about today, and I want to talk a bit about using sketch libraries. So when sketch libraries came out, it was super transformational for our design work. Gave our tool really the ability to like leverage systems even stronger. In abstract, I think there's some powerful stuff. So just to overview this real quick, a library or a sketch document that contains symbols, text styles, and layer styles can serve your design, your composition design, as a library. So those sketch documents that are set as a sketch library, abstract really provides that opportunity to distribute the libraries across projects. And we do that through a mechanism called linked libraries. It's really a strong and powerful way to really leverage what a library file offers you, which is consistency in your design, consistency in your symbol. You've done a lot of work to make sure you've lined up that blue rounded rectangle button, but you want your design team to use that. Using and leveraging the Git workflow, we really allow you to manage that library with the same model as master, with branching and committing and making those changes and merging them, and then distributing it through the linked library. So actually, let me just jump out of the presentation, and I'm going to jump to a demo organization that we have called STEM Society. We have a project here called the Design System Web. It's a singular project that within it, if I click on master and then files, you'll see all of the files and our new icons, by the way, which came out in the release. I think today we released, or maybe it was yesterday. These 6 files contain the primitive sets that build our design system for this demo organization. Your design system might be much bigger than this, but this kind of helps keep the narrative really, really small here. But these 6 design system files are library files that we added either by importing Sketchfile as a library or creating it new here in this project. So once I've set these files as a library file, as a library for other projects to use within Abstract, when you have another project like this project website, which is building the composition of the website for STEM Society, you can see that we've linked those 6 libraries to this project. Like I mentioned and showed before, if I click on any of these composition files, you get the preview, but linked libraries are in another project. It's actually not part of this project. It's only linked to this one as a library. We did that by clicking Add File, Link Sketch Library, and you'll have a picker here that shows from this project, Design System Web, we might want to grab these particular primitives and link these libraries to my website project. This is really great to stay on brand with one another. It's really great for brand to stay on brand. Really great for all kinds of different teams who are now piping into our design work here, the design system work here. So for a small example, you may be able to even, maybe you have another design system that you're building or a corollary system, and bring that topography file, link that library in here. And where really the rubber meets the road is, if I'm actually going to start a new branch here. Let's just make a new branch called 101 demo. This will create a branch, which again is a duplicative file structure of all the stuff in master. And in this branch, I'm going to add another file. So I'm going to say create sketch file. And we'll call this we'll call this 404 pages, because who doesn't love a good 404 page? So it's going to create that file in Sketch. The file's empty. I'm going to open up that particular file in Sketch. Let me just drop an artboard real quick. Let's do, I don't know, let's do something responsive here. Let's do that tablet style. And you can see I didn't do any work other than open up this file, and the symbols that we've already linked into this project are now available to me as a designer, and I can get working, like right away. I can drop a badge. Maybe a couple, what else do I got here? I got some buttons. I can put a button in here. Nothing's worse than having like a blank artboard as a designer. Nothing scarier than having like a blank artboard as a designer. And then in the design management side, you've done all that work to get all those libraries working and cooking really good. Using these linked libraries allows any file that's built off of a branch to have those automatically set. You don't have to go through like sketch preferences and make sure that you're pointed to the right document, or distribute maybe via Dropbox or whatever your mechanism was. Any new branch off of a project already has those linked libraries set and ready to go. So let's just talk the narrative all the way through here. I'm going to save, like I was mentioning, like hit Command S to do that. And I'm going to commit these changes just to give you the full story here. So we added a logo and a button. And like I was making mention before, you can add some, let's put this one in here. You can add some emojis that might help your commit strategy. So I'm going to hit commit, and in the back, you can see that the commit's been created. I'm syncing. It's now up to date. This 101 branch now has a commit. 2 minutes ago, I had a blank artboard. This commit now shows that I have a logo and a button in there. And it's great. Now my library's singing. My project's starting to come to life a little bit. And yeah, that's how linked libraries really make and really benefit our system here. There's a lot more to say about linked libraries. I think we're going to have like an upcoming webinar on that, but there's some great stuff. If your design system really is something that you've spent a lot of time on building those symbols out, building the layer styles and text styles, this really helps your your team just kind of move at optimum speed there. All right, let me just jump back to the presentation really quick, and I'll take a look at some of those questions. Make sure I leave some time to at the end, but let's check in here. So so Juan asks, if master files for the libraries are modified, it reflects on the file that those libraries have linked. Yeah, actually the same model works. Let me jump back to that STEM Society. So I'm going to go into the design system. You can see I have a branch here that I started, I guess, a while ago that says I added, well, I guess I didn't add any colors, but I could have added a few colors to this branch. Once I merge this branch into master, my files are now updated. My colors might have like a purple in this space here rather than just these few colors. Once that symbol has been added, and it's a symbol within that document, and you've merged it to master, all of the changes will come through in Sketch, and you'll get a notification in Sketch that says, I think it says library update, or updates to library, or updates the symbol, sorry. Updates the symbol. And that's just using Sketch's mechanism to alert you that there's been a change to your symbol. So Heather asks, are updates to linked libraries handled in the same way Sketch files are? I've been locally creating new instances of library symbols and want a new version. So using a local version of a library is, using abstract, let's put it this way, using abstract and these linked libraries are really powerful. There are times when you have a project, and I'll show you an example of that, a project that really honestly has the need to have a lot of updates to your symbols and stuff. This is getting a little bit advanced, but you can see in this particular project, like I said, is the Mac OS app. We have a bunch of composition files. They're denoted with the white page icon with the diamond on the inside. The library files are denoted with like this orange, the inverse, with like kind of like a building block plug-in Lego style. I love it. So like I was mentioning before, we did a bunch of linked libraries. That's working great for this particular project, but there are some library files that require a bit of change as you're building out the product here. And some of them might only really relate to this particular project. So like the Mac OS UI, like that only really relates, like these components don't really relate to any of our web stuff. These are all components that we want to use specifically and strictly to the Mac OS app as we build out our experience. So sometimes you may want to have your library files baked into or collected into the project here. That really allows you to work really fast. You open up a branch, you can change both your files, your library files and your composition files. And Mark, yeah, he's got a great point there with Symbol Swapper. It's a great little tool that can help move things around. All right, I do want to make sure that I finish out. So I'll take some more questions at the end, but let's make sure that I get through the presentation for the sake of my own sanity and your sanity too. So we're around the corner. We wanted to talk a bit about collaboration. And this is really where I think the rubber meets the road too for the honest long-term benefit of abstract. So you're doing your version control, you're doing your Git workflow within abstract. But design doesn't really stop with where the designer, when the designer puts the mouse down, it has to continue through with your stakeholder teams, sometimes your product development team, sometimes your product ownership team, whoever. We built some tools for collaborating, and one of the more powerful pieces is using a review request. So before merging a branch into master, you have this ability to request a review. And really where this really gets great is that these design reviews are connected in abstract. So both your designers and your stakeholders are working on this common tool to have this complete record built out. So this really includes like who's requested those changes, when the designs were approved, who's approved the designs. There's nothing worse than just like forgetting or not having that common knowledge. So to request a review, I can just show you in my STEM Society organization. I've had a review request asked of me this morning. So in this tab here, click on reviews. Sean's asked me to review his particular branch on image updates, and you can see that I'm now a reviewer here. So I can go in, I can add a few others. I may want to add another person to take that review. I myself might just go and review the items that he's asked me to do. So checked out the file, I can click the green button, I can approve those changes, I can request changes. When I click request changes, I might leave a few remarks about what that might be. How about updating the header? I don't know. And leave that. I'll click request changes. That'll change the branch status to change as requested because I've done the work, or he's done the work and I'm asking him to take a look at that. Where you really see this coming to really fruition is within both, well, in the activity section where it shows all the activity that's happened since all today, just kind of in a chronological, like Facebook style. I can even like trim it down to, what was his update images? So we probably would have had a better branch name, but he's just doing some demo work. I can see the activity that's happening on this particular branch. And I get a notification. I got a notification in my email earlier. I also got a notification here in the notifications tab. So this really let me show another example in abstract of some reviews. So I don't have any reviews assigned to me right now in abstract, but you can see all of the projects that we have currently in abstract has a number of different statuses. Some have been approved, some have changes requested, others are in review, which just means that we haven't heard back from our reviewers. A really solid way to centralize those design requests or design review requests. And then another piece is using collections. And so you can see this branch here that Morgan's put together. She made a collection. A collection is a smaller subset of any artboards within your branch. So in this project, in this branch, there's three main screens that Morgan wants us to focus in on. I have this ability to make a collection. It's really nice to sort of like make a smaller narrative for your stakeholders. So it's not like they have to sort of like fight through all of the screens that you're building out. You really want them to review a subset here. So within that, you can do presentation mode, which just as a small note is how we were even going through the beginning part of this presentation. I was sharing a collection. I have the ability to go full screen. I can go day mode, night mode. I have the ability to drop comments on a particular part of any of the artboards using the annotate tool. So maybe this is not the right image. I can leave a comment that says this hand looks too big. I don't know. Like, what would you say? Leave a comment. It would directly connect to this artboard on this recent commit. I can @mention people, @mention Alden if I wanted him to take a look at this. I can reply, use emoji. All of these are built within the collection view. And further, if I was a developer, and I think this is one of the questions here that somebody was asking, some handoff questions, but I'm able to inspect this artboard by clicking the button right above it called Inspect Artboard. This brings me to the inspect view of this particular artboard. From here, I can show you the whole tree within the layer detail. It's just basically reading out all of the layers that are in your sketch document. The plus symbols indicate that this layer has been added or this item's been added. The deltas for when it's been changed. Your development team can use any one of these, can hover over items, click on items, and get the measurements set for where the layout's supposed to go. From here, you're able to sort of explore and inspect the whole entire document. Anything on this right panel here is click and copy. So this content, this header, it says ready to grow. I click on that, it's been copied to my clipboard, and I can paste it into my my development program. Any of the text styles that you've set in your sketch document carry through, those names carry through. So this header was set at _display XL. That might relate to some token that you're using on your development language. And if your development team is using, maybe they're an Android developer and this is an Android screen, they can change their measurement units from pixels to density independent pixels or hex to RGB, and those values change here on the fly. So that's a breezy overview of the inspect tool. Also within this collaboration piece, you can compare changes between the last two commits, adjacent commits. So, this is an easy one to visually see the difference, like welcome to the club. You can see that right here side by side. Sometimes the comparisons between commits are nuanced. You can click at the bottom and get an overlay. This one, there's a lot of change, but sometimes you can see there'd be like a nuance change right here at the top. It's just a pixel or two different between where we laid the navigation out. And then back up to where we had those comments. This shows the latest commit. We connect comments to the commits on that particular artboard, but you can always go back to commits using this left panel here. So I can go back to added homepage, and I can even show where the comments were, the feedback that I got along the way from my team in history. So 4 months ago, I had this particular set of comments on the commit. Now, moving forward, I have another set. Cool. So that is what I wanted to go through. I think that was everything I wanted to go through on collaborating using a collection. Oh, there is one piece I do want to make mention. When you have a collection, to get that collection to your designer team or development team or product ownership team, use the share feature. You copy a link to this collection, copies to your clipboard, drop it in your Jira ticket, drop it in your Slack channel. We even have a Slack integration too, so they get all those changes along the way. But if you really need to focus your review efforts, there's a couple different ways you can do that. And I do want to give like a sort of a best practicey piece too on, and a hat tip to one of our designers. All of our designers are great, but just want to point out Sarah's recent one I was on here because I noticed it. This branch review request notes. She used the summary to really write out a great note what she's doing in this branch that are the changes. Using Jira, connecting our Jira ticket, using Markdown, you can put any kind of link you need to in this summary field. Connected her, other work like meeting documentation, brainstorming, any ideation stuff, research, whatever sort of artifacts that are used to make your design, to inform your design changes are cooked into this summary, which I really think is I appreciate that. She even gave like her original branch and then set up some files, set up some problems for that she's trying to address in these files here. And then lastly, using the collection to sort of same way to drive more thoughts about like what you should see in this particular collection here and what you should give feedback on. I think it's a really strong way that shows off using branches within a project, collections, all as a mechanism to get your collaboration juices going with your teams. All right, let me jump back over to the presentation. And I think that is everything that I was going to chat about today. Got through the inspect stuff. Yeah, for sure. You can measure layers and distances. That's cool. I didn't make mention of this. Designers frequently have had to set and export their own images or artifacts for their development team to use in the product design, the product development. We support all of the export presets that Sketch provides. So if you set an item to 1x PNG or SVG or whatever, we allow your development team to get those exports directly through the tool here. So just to show that off a little bit here, I'm going to go to Morgan's collection here. I'm going to go to this page, hit inspect, and you can see that we've set two items here, these two images, this one here and this one here, to download. You'd see that also in the tree hierarchy here. This large plant's been set to 1x. So I can download that right here and it would go to my, it would hit me up right on my local machine and put that into my code right there. So working with your development partners, they can and you can set anything in Sketch to whatever export that you'd like and merge that up to master, and it's ready to go for your development team right there. That's a good question, Jennifer. We're working on that one, talking about nested symbols and exporting. Yeah. Oh, also, I did see Florian is giving some awesome feedback. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, Spectrum Abstract is really solid. So that's a way we really can connect with you asynchronously. Drop us some feedback. Drop us a question, and that really helps kind of keep that communication going between everybody here. So let me just pull that up. So that's at spectrum.chat/abstract. All right, let me jump into some of these questions here. It looks like 7 minutes to try to answer a few. All right, I'm gonna try to find some good stuff here. You guys had a lot of great conversation along the way. Thanks for doing that, guys. All right. Okay, I think we talked about a bunch of this stuff here. All right, so Victor over in the Q&A asked, can we merge a branch to its parent without having to auto-archive that branch? I think that's I think that's a cool question, actually. So I didn't really talk too much about it, but you can see here, you can do a thing called parent and child branching. So I made a branch the other day calling add in login, and a couple days later, Andrea came along, and she made a child branch off of my branch. I could do the same thing too if I feel like I had another concept that I wanted to explore. I'm going to make a branch here. It's just, again, a child of this parent. So this parent branch is effectively taking the status of what our master is for that original branch. So you can see how it cascades down. And one of the things we see some teams doing is, like, you do a bunch of work in your particular branch. Maybe not all of it gets approved, right? So let's say you've done a bunch of changes, but only a handful of the things get approved. What I see teams doing is making a child branch off of that parent branch, which again is a direct copy of it. You could just archive it if you wanted to from right here. Just hit archive, and that would go to the branch archive and save all those changes kind of in stasis. Alternatively, I could merge those changes, or I could make a child branch, delete all the stuff out of my original parent branch that I know I'm not going to keep, and then merge that branch into master, which I know I'm going to keep for like long term, keeping that for updating the source of truth. And when I do that, it does archive. So the cool thing about branches, though, if I click on branches and archive, you're able to see anything that's been archived as well as stuff that's been merged. So this particular branch here, 23 days ago, I must have merged it to master, or merged it. Let's see if I merged it. I didn't merge it to master. I merged it to another parent. More practically speaking, if I go back to Abstract's instance here, I click on Mac OS app, I go click on branches, and archived, you'll be able to sort of like traverse history. So like I mentioned, you can use Jira tickets to sort of identify work that you're working on by clicking on, I typed in collab, which is one of the shortcut for Jira. I'm going to get those branches that have been archived over time. And that sort of helps sort of see where things are going. Catherine asked, is there a recorded webinar? Yeah, actually, we'll send out we're going to send out a link in like 48 or 72 hours. I forget how long it is of this recording, and you'll have that at your disposal. Any way for other team members to add to a collection other than the original creator of the collection? So that's a good point. Thanks for bringing it up, Adam. Right now, excuse me, you can only add collections to the branch that you've started. So back to this website, I have the 101 demo. I have my own collection, or my own branch that I can make a collection off of. Kate, she made her own collection here. Sort of is a nice way to sort of keep them separate. Right now, you can only, your admin is the only person who can, or people who are set to admin, can add collections to master as well. We're doing some like product thinking on that, so more to come. I don't want to spill any beans on it, but we're doing some product thinking on how that might be. We can see how teams have needed to be able to either add a collection to somebody else's branch, or maybe even promote a collection from your previous branch to master. And yes, will collections have grouping or section in the future? That's a part of what we're thinking about. Mike asked, are you planning to add merge protections where certain people are able to review a branch before it's merged into master? Right now, it is something we're thinking about. Just right now, anyone can merge a branch into master. So I sort of encourage, at the moment, you sort of think about your sort of working rules, your set of working rules. We have some great documentation on like things to think about. We have a document called how we use Abstract at fill in your company. It's on abstract.com in the help section. I think that's a really great place to sort of like have that open dialogue about how we might want to do the merging as a feature. But I'm with you, totally cool. Something we are thinking about for sure. All right. Yep, Justin asked a question at some point, sorry, about libraries. Any changes in a library need to be merged in order to get those updates to the rest of your organization. Yep, you'll need to merge. You'll need to merge your changes from your library and in your library, and those changes to master will be the ones that are reflected and are part of your links, basically part of the project when you have it linked. Use it that way. Let's see here. Best practices for your file setup. That's a deep one. Love to talk more about that. But I would say a lot of the work you want to make your product design really your files reflect your product design to the best of your ability. And yeah, I'll kind of like leave it at that. There's a lot to talk about that, some advanced stuff that happened in some of our other future sessions. But I do want to end on time, say thank you so much for joining me. Get after it this year, all you students going back to student life. And if you have any questions along the way, check out our website at goabstract.com. If there's anything that just comes up that's a crazy blocker that just prevents you from working, hit us up on email, support@goabstract.com or abstract.com. Oh, this slide's super old. Let me do this one here. Forget the go part. Use just the abstract piece. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I'll say this, just hit us up on abstract.com. We'll be super excited to see what you guys are building in the future. And I'm excited for today. Thanks so much, guys. Take care, everybody. Glad it was helpful.